Hello everyone. Today we're going to talk about JSON injection, and we cover what we start by defining what JSON injection is, and also we take a look at a demo on our vulnerable application, which is the Pinewood store. I've introduced a vulnerability, JSON injection server-side vulnerability to it. So we're going to go ahead and exploit the vulnerability and gain access as an admin user. So to start off, what is what is JSON injection? The flaw occurs. The JSON injection is just a flaw occurs when the application improperly handles user-supplied JSON data, allowing an attacker to manipulate the structure of the JSON object to alter our application's behavior. Like I mentioned earlier on, if a registration screen uses, for instance, a JSON to send requests from the client side to the server side, and if an attacker can manipulate the JSON and add data and have the application process the data and have the unintended, any kind of unintended behavior would be considered a server-side injection for a JSON server-side injection. Like this JSON injection, most of the time can lead to data modification, privilege escalation, and even remote code execution in some instances. So, what is JSON? JSON is just a lightweight data format widely used in web applications for transmitting structured information between a client and a server. JSON injection happens when an attacker manipulates the JSON payload, like I mentioned earlier, and sent to the server, leading to unintended consequences like unauthorized access or data tampering. Now, with that being said, let me go ahead and open up my application. This is Pinewood Store. I have Burp open already, so and also what we're gonna do today. So we already defined what JSON injection is, why it happens, and we're gonna demo the vulnerability on Pinewood Store web application and show the backend database that the vulnerability is exploited and the attacker has gained admin access, and also what could we do to avoid from our application being vulnerable to JSON injection. We'd also take a look at this Notepad note editor. I'm calling it note editor burp extension that I created using Python. And I'll share a link on a public repo for anyone who would like to try the extension. I already submitted it to BApp for Swigger, and we'll see how that goes. But basically what it does is I figured out most of the time when I'm doing any kind of testing or pen testing, I ended up opening VS Code, right? Because I have to maybe create some kind of formatted report, especially if I find some kind of finding, right? Even if I don't, like I want to structure, I want to follow some kind of structure. I want to take notes. So this, I feel like the tool doesn't come up with, at least not the free version. Uh, doesn't come with a notepad editor, and this we could help people can actually gain a whole lot of help from this. Some of the things that it does, like I said, right now I've defined this and I can actually do this, and I can make it numbered. And also, let's say if I want to highlight something, maybe I found a vulnerability, and I'm gonna start using all these features, and while we exploiting the vulnerability, and kind of give you a demo of the extension as well. And at the end of this video, obviously on my YouTube channel, I'll share the link from the public repo for anybody who wants to uh, try the Python script and create this extension. Basically, what you need to do is just once you download the Python script, you save it with the extension py, and you're gonna come up to the extensions and add and browse to where you have saved the Python file. As you can see, this is a notepad. If I saw the details, I saved it on my, I created burp extension folder, and that's where I put it in. But once it's imported, it asks this, and it gives you kind of rich text format where you can do a lot of stuff. I can actually, let's say, I can create a duplicate tab. Maybe I want to put some other note in here, and I can actually clear this out. I put another note in here, and it does give me an option also to save the notes, which most of the time I kind of like I ended up opening a separate application, and I feel like we can do all these things with just an extension like this. And also, I noticed in Burp, sometimes when you want to, because you get a lot of request and response, when you actually want to zoom in and zoom out, you don't have any features. But this does. For instance, I can actually zoom in right now and reset it. And it's numbered like Visio as well. And also it does give you, let's say, right now, let us go ahead and put a header on this node. So when you hit on this gear, this document format, at our application in this case, Pinewood Store. Test that name, I'll just put John Doe. Scope details, today we're gonna talk about obviously JSON injection. So I'm just gonna say JSON injection. And you can also write something here, and also a methodology that you're using. In our case, we're gonna be using kind of like manual testing. So I'll just leave it at the WASP testing guide. But yeah. Demo JSON injection. So now if I do this, it adds this format, and you can also edit it if you want to. It does give you that option. Whichever format that you want. So now that we demonstrated that, let's go ahead to our application. Is already open. So first off, let's start off by just creating an account. Now let me go back to Burp proxy. Let me clear this off so we can get started. Make sure this comes in. Alright, the traffic's being captured. So I'm gonna go ahead. Let's start off by just creating an account, right? A random person account. Let's call it Jack B. Password. So the user registered. Now, if I go back, the way the application works, obviously, this needs to be saved in the backend database. Let's take a look at the backend database. Actually, this is actually running on, I do apologize, this is actually running on my VM. That's a remote, not my local, so I don't need to do that. Let's go back. This is where the application is running. And what I minimize is actually just showing the application is running. This jar. Yeah, sometimes the VMs take longer. Oh, actually, it's open. This one's open on. I don't know if this. Okay, this is actually the one on my desktop. So, all right, that's finally open. All right, so we have this application. As you can see here, basically what it does, the application creates the user, and since you're actually using the registration page, usually you can't uh, set up your admin. Like would be another person assigned to this would actually create. They would use either some kind of programmatic way to create, like give you a role of admin, and you get. But automatically, most of the time, the way it is handled is when you're using your registration screen, you get a regular account that doesn't have any privileges. And let's say if you need to have privileges and you get the permission to have the privileges, somebody else would actually use a different application or the same application, which is internal, and manipulate the database and change your role from uh, user to admin, or they create a separate account. Most of the time, that's actually the cleanest way, is separate account. And they create an admin account for you. So you have two accounts. One is a regular account. But what we're going to see is this application is vulnerable to JSON injection. So I can manipulate the JSON and actually get an admin role. Now that we've seen that we have that, so let's take a look at it. All right, as you can see here, don't get any on this Pinewood Store application. If you're an admin, when you log in, you get actually on the top right hand corner, you'll see if you're an admin, it will say admin. If you're a regular user, it will say user. Since I'm just registering through the registration page, I get regular user. All right, now that we verify that, let me go ahead and log out. Let's take a look at our JSON. What is happening here? All right, so this is the data, and I'm gonna go ahead and send it to repeater. So as you can see here, basically the data is being sent as a JSON. This is a JSON format. You got the curly, you got the braces and username, password. So now, usually a lot of modern applications use JSON. That's why it's actually still popular way to exploit the vulnerability. So let's go ahead and try to see if I can do anything. Now I do see that the application must have some kind of role, right? So what I can do is I can try to manipulate it. I can try to add an additional field, let's say. All right. So let's call Jack B hacker. So let's see if we get anything. It looks like, yeah, it's successful. I didn't get any issues. So let's go back to our proxy. So now let's go back. Register. And let's make sure, let's look at the backend database. Did it do anything? As you can see here, it registered it. I used the JSON injection, and first is the application is not using any input validations. That's a major issue with this. So as you can see here, the role is actually injected with a registration page. Now let's go ahead and log in as this user. All right. As you can see here, I'm logged in. It shows my username, and also I do have an admin. So I exploited the vulnerability and was able to get an admin role, which by design was designed for you to enter only username and password, but by using JSON injection, you can actually exploit the vulnerability and get an admin account. All right, so now let's go back to let's discuss about uh, what went wrong, what was the issue in a situation like this. The first thing is obviously trust JSON input without validation. The second one is just dynamically parsing and using JSON properties without any sanitization. And also inside the logic, sometimes there might be an issue with the logic that allows this kind of injection. So that's is basically how to prevent it. Only accept uh, uh, expected JSON fields. You can set it up on your code where it expects only the username and password. And if a user tries to inject any additional JSON values, they will be either get 403 or rejected in either way. And also enforce strict data types and value checks. And also you can use schema validations. Sanitization is the most important thing for you can avoid a lot of vulnerabilities if you sanitize user input. And also avoid using eval or unsafe parsing methods. Implement server-side authentication authorization. So JSON injection is a severe vulnerability that can lead to account takeovers, privilege escalation. As you can see here, I escalated my privilege from a regular user to admin user, and a lot of data breaches. If unpatched, in our Pine Restore demo, we showed how the insecure API allowed an attacker to gain admin access simply by injecting additional JSON properties. This is going to be on my blog post as well. So now let's go back to the final thing is obviously the notes. So why is the notes needed? Like I said, let's say you're creating this and you're doing some bug bounty programs and you need to take notes. I usually I don't like the fact that I have to open up additional applications like um, I usually use VS Code, but in here what you can do is I can actually go back. Let's say I want to show this application exploited a vulnerability or something. I can right click on it, go to extension notes editor, and I can do send request and response to notes editor. And the notes editor, it does come up, and as you can see here, it does add my notes. And let's say if I want to add more notes, uh, let's say if I want to say what I can do is this, like I can also just notate it for myself. I can highlight it, and I can also add, let's say symbols. Let's use a warning symbol. And I can notate it, and I can also highlight it again. And finally, let's say I want to close this. What I can do, I can still use a format, and it does have a footer. Let's say I found one critical vulnerability, a conclusion. Uh, let's say remediate is so by restricting only affect username and password, and also applying input sanitization. Alright, so I'm going to set the footer here, and it would add it, as you can see here. And also it does give me an option. Let's say I want to take another note. Maybe I want to copy certain part of this application, certain part of this request, and then I can open up another tab like this. Let me close this one and just new document. It will copy this over. Let's say if I want to do something else here, I can clear it off. And finally, when I'm done, what I can do is I took my notes and I need to save it, right? So I can put save, and I can give it a note saying all right. So, and also let's say I want to notate other thing. I want to do more stuff. What can I actually do? I can import, go back, and I can also import the same thing. But let's say if I want to edit and all right, let's take a look at this. I actually imported it, but let me start. Let me import a new document, right? Let's say I want to work on Apache Struts, right? Apache Struts, vulnerability. Something. I can bring it in. Like I said, if I want to do bullet points on this, I can just do that and do bullets, and it actually adds that. And when you have multiple requests and you want to highlight something, sometimes it happens on the request. What you can do is you can send it, and you can let's go to proxy. Let me see. I added it. They say I want to highlight this, or maybe zoom in to see something. So it does zoom in. It gives you a bigger font. So, and also if I want to highlight this one as well, I can just do this and highlight. I want to add some symbol. Let's say maybe I thought like setting up a password 12345 6 is funny. Should be funny. So I can just add an happy face here. Select it, maybe highlight it. And I can also eventually, I can also save it again, right? I can hit this and save it. So I saved it already, so I don't want to save it. So that's why I feel like it could be a great benefit for, especially for someone who's still using I know a lot of people are still using the community version. Maybe they're not sure if they want to spend $500 yearly price on the pro version. I think I believe the pro version is great and all that stuff, but there are some things we can do to make up for it. And I don't believe that I've used the pro version. I usually use Zap and this one. Use a pro version in the past, but it does have the reporting tab, but note taking, this kind of gives you note taking right off, like from the request. You can type something, notes. Maybe you're kind of like doing the same thing. You're demoing something. You can actually do it here. and also save it as a note and share it with somebody else. So and the other thing is like I said, if you go in and kind of like, of course you can use the keyboard shortcuts and to zoom in, but it doesn't give you like right off the bat like to zoom in on certain things. So I feel like this, yeah, this could be helpful for some people, and it's free extension. And I'll be sharing the link on my YouTube channel on this video on the description. So, and that's all I have for today. Thank you.